Francesco Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report or Scoop News. So we had about 72% of the Floridians come out last November and they voted that they wanted a new era brought into Florida when it comes to medical marijuana, and overwhelmingly they wanted access to medical marijuana and the benefits that it brings. All that was left was for the legislation, the Florida legislation, to go out and try to regulate and put some rules into place so people knew what rules were there to play by. But they couldn't do that. And now the fate of the whole medical marijuana industry and the access to it lies in the hands of Governor Rick Scott, who is advocate for stricter restrictive rules against medical marijuana. He's not an advocate of it at all. The whole situation is what they say may go up to court, as it has gone up in smoke. And the people that are getting screwed over are essentially the patients. They will not have easy access to marijuana, the same marijuana, medical marijuana, that was approved, as I said, by the people. The whole thing is essentially a mess, and it's the lies right there in the hands of the legislators, our legislators who could not get the job done. The Senate and the House leaders, they essentially threw in the towel late Friday over pot regulations, with the biggest hangup being how many dispensaries or storefronts should be opened or licensed. That minor little thing caused the whole industry to go essentially up in smoke. They also couldn't decide on how are we going to tax those dispensaries. Forget going out to Colorado or other areas and trying to see how they're doing it and implementing one of those plans. They just couldn't figure it out. You have advocates like Morgan, who wants to run for governor. He put in a lot of money bankrolling the pot amendment. Rumor has it he does have a pot farm ready to go. He's not happy. He's blaming this guy Palara, who's basically sold out, he said, the industry by backing the dispensary limits that people wanted to put in place. So the question is, what comes next? And without a bill out of Tallahassee, this all goes basically to the Florida DOH, and the Rick Scott thing. And they're going to be required to go out and set up their own rules for the medical pot industry. And they got to do this by July. But the DOH has already said, look, they've already put out a draft version. It's very restrictive. They did this back in January, and many pro-pot advocates said it's very restrictive, overly restrictive. And these rules that they put out would barely expand access to pot within Florida and would not allow patients to go out there and readily get it if they had debilitating conditions such as AIDS, cancer, or anything like that. Basically, look, it's the bureaucrats saying, look, we know you guys and the citizens wanted this and they passed it, but we're going to make it so difficult so that you really can't get it. So it doesn't matter what you guys wanted. This is what we're going to do. Also, it's going to make it tough because it's going to prevent doctors from making their own diagnosis about a condition that needs marijuana. And it would also ban smoking the drug, which Morgan's already said, look, Morgan said the legislation out there basically says you can't smoke in public, which means you can smoke it probably in private. And they're saying, no, look, we don't even want smoking in private. We'll allow, I believe, vaping, but that's the extent of it. And Morgan said he's already threatening to sue over that rule. So you're going to see a lot of lawsuits, a lot of fighting. And I know one individual locally is essentially throwing his hands up because someone that's in that arena is saying, look, he started out and now it's just blowing up and nothing's going to happen anytime soon. It's just going to become more difficult. So there's where we stand on medical marijuana. Our bureaucrats, our politicians dropped the ball and basically did what they want instead of what the people voted for. Same old, right? This has been Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report.